Sharla Boyd, welcome to Signposts for the Journey and Tracks for the Journey. It's great to have you as a guest today.
Happy to be here.
Well, I appreciate so much getting to know you better over these past several years and appreciating your work that you do with folks in Lubbock. So for our viewers, Dr. Sharla Boyd is a practicing psychologist here in Lubbock. Has been doing that for 20 plus years, is that right?
Since, 2002 is when I got my doctorate.
Oh, well, that's a load of experience. A lot of years listening to folks and seeking to bring out of them the kind of resources they have and they need to meet the challenges. So do you find journaling as a helpful practice for your clients, and how do you suggest that they do that?
Yeah, that can be one thing that I suggest, and that's part of having that flexibility and adaptability. Some people don't like that, and that can be something we talk about what's it like when you sit down to journal? What are you feeling or experiencing that might make that challenging? And so sometimes it can be that they're putting too much pressure on themselves to write a certain way or for it to sound a certain way. And so it may be just talking about, just let yourself write words, phrases. This is only for you. This isn't for anybody else. Kind of take the critic out and let yourself do that. So sometimes it may be trying to understand what's keeping somebody from feeling like that's helpful. And for some people, it just isn't. But for a lot of people, it is. Taking that time to reflect on, what am I feeling? Why do I feel this way? What's prompting this? And the act of being able to write it and read it brings about some catharsis and some understanding. And then over time, people can kind of look at, what are some of the patterns that I'm seeing? What are some of the things that are themes here that I can look at? And being able to kind of organize your thoughts, to understand and write something about, I feel upset and I'm not sure why. And sitting down to just give yourself that space and that moment to see what comes up and start writing about it.
It is a great challenge, I think, in our chaotic world to take care of ourselves. And so I really appreciate it. Do you find certain self-care activities important, maybe for yourself, but also to suggest to the normal person who's trying to get through our chaotic world around?
Yeah.
How can we do this?
Yes, absolutely. Self-care may sound like kind of a buzzword or a little hokey, but under times of stress, those very basic things can kind of go on the back burner. Really making sure that you're giving yourself time to sleep and rest and thinking about the foods that you're eating. Are those nourishing foods? Not to say that you can't also have treats and, things like that, but also, really thinking about, what am I putting into my body and how am I taking care of my body to have good energy and to stay strong. Exercise is so beneficial for people, and that can look all kinds of different ways. Some people don't want to go into a gym or do formal classes. That's okay. That can be going for walks. It can be, turning on a video at home that you follow some yoga or some kind of, Pilates or, anything like that. But something that's moving your body and giving yourself intentional time. That is such an important piece of regulating our mood, helping with stress. I feel drastically better after I exercise, managing anxiety and having that physical release for the things that get pent up in our bodies. So exercise, making sure that you do take care of yourself. Finding social connections is important. Sometimes we tend to isolate when we're feeling distressed or down. And making sure that you are connecting in some way with people, somebody that you can feel safe with, or maybe somebody that you don't feel like talking about what is going on for you personally, but somebody you can enjoy spending time with. We are social creatures, humans, and knowing that you're not alone, and knowing that being with other people also helps give us a perspective. We can feel consumed with what's going on for us that's upsetting, and being able to sit and be with somebody else and focus on something different and laugh, or maybe be able to support them in something that's going on for them, that's so beneficial for us too. I think a big thing right now is finding balance of wanting to be informed about what's going on in the world and not kind of drowning in it, because there's so much pain going on in the world. We're seeing so many things that are causing so much distress for people. So we do have to limit and give ourselves permission to limit how much of that we're taking in. And sometimes that can feel like I don't care enough, or I'm being selfish. But giving yourself permission that we're just not made to take in this much all the time. And with social media, with video cameras on our phones, all these things that we have now that are beneficial in lots of ways, it's also giving us constant 24 access to traumatic experiences, images, distressing information. Exactly. News is meant to be focusing on the negative. That's what people tend to click on and watch. And so we do have to be careful how much of that we take in, and what things are you taking in that are positive, beneficial, thinking about how you can make a difference in your corner of the world. Who do you want to be in the world? What are your values? What are things you want to do to help people around you? Because there's so much we don't have control over right now that's happening. But thinking about, what do I have some influence on? What can I do that is going to be something that I feel like I'm being beneficial and being a good source of kindness?
What would you want our folks to take away from today? What would you like to tie together or introduce something new that you feel like would be really helpful for the average person just trying to walk through 2026 and beyond?
I would hope people have some kindness and grace for themselves when maybe they're responding in ways they don't feel good about, or there's an area that they're struggling with, or a past experience that they're confused about, why does this continue to impact me? To be able to give themselves the kind of grace that they probably give freely to other people, but sometimes it's hard to give to themselves, and to recognize that there are so many experiences human beings are navigating in the world, and help is out there, and being able to find a therapist that's a good fit for you can be really life transforming. To have a place to ask questions that you have, gain some new skills, some new understanding, be able to figure out how to improve your life and your self-confidence and your relationships. There is no shame in that, and sometimes people feel like they should be able to do it on their own, or only some people who have XYZ mental issues should go for therapy. And I see so many people who've been through trauma that are really critical of themselves, of, I think somebody else's trauma was worse, or I shouldn't let this still bother me. And it's not something that you're choosing. It is something that happened to you. One resource I want to shout out is a book called What Happened to You by a psychiatrist, Dr. Bruce Perry, and Oprah Winfrey co-wrote it with him. And it is taking that perspective of not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you, and the experiences that you had that have shaped and created some of the challenges that you see in the world. And he does an amazing job of explaining the neurology and what's happening in our bodies and our minds, and why trauma is affecting you the way that it is. And it's very accessible for lay people to read and to try to understand some of these things.
Great. Could you give us the title and the author again? I'll put it in the show notes, but
Yeah,
I want you to
What
mention.
to You by Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey.
I know you keep your own practice pretty full, but folks who live in West Texas or eastern New Mexico or Oklahoma, western Oklahoma, they can find you in your office in Lubbock, Texas. Is that right?
Yes. And I can provide video therapy within Texas. I'm licensed in Texas. I can't provide therapy to people outside of Texas, but some people do drive in from, like you said, eastern New Mexico or things like that. So, yeah.
Oh, great. Well, Charlotte, thanks a million for your time. I'm
You're
excited
welcome.
for our folks to connect with what you're sharing, to get some ideas about themselves, but also to realize, hey, I don't have to do this alone.